Hello and welcome to ReCall the Midwife. Today we are doing a special episode on something quite exciting, although I'm very nervous about it.
Oh, don't be nervous. There's
Today,
somebody who didn't want to go in your place.
this is just a special quick episode to talk about something that I did as part to represent this podcast with Oxford University and the BBC. And we're recording this, not actually knowing when it's coming out. So all the details will be all about it now. You should have probably seen it and then you'll hear about it now. How should we start this? This is all very exciting.
Why don't you say what you did and then we can ask you questions?
And where did you see about this, Alex? Because you always find these things.
So something came up on social media and it was like a collaboration between, it was from the BBC and Oxford University about, they were looking for Call the Midwife fans who did something to do with Call the Midwife as a hobby in their spare time. And I thought, well, a podcast is one of them. Now, we also had a few of our listeners who sent me the details of this, who sent us the details on the ReCall the Midwife
Oh, I didn't know that.
social media. Yeah. So they sent it. So I was like, well, do you know what? I'll apply. And we might not get on. I remember sending it to you two and being like, this is something I'm going to try and do, but obviously I don't know if we will be able to get on or if they'll even choose us or anything. So I applied.
Well, you just never know. Like, are 20,000 people going to send something in and they're like, oh, everyone's candidate applications were tremendous, but our space was so limited. You just never know what they're going to say, right?
Yeah. And you don't know if there's like other podcasts, because I don't listen to other podcasts to do Call the Midwife or anything. I'm sure there are some, but like I didn't know if there were loads and stuff. Like I just don't know. You don't know.
We don't recognize those other podcasts. There's none but us.
We do. We're all very valid. So we're all or invalid either way. So anyway, I applied. You have to send a video. I sent a little video basically saying about what we do, and that was it. And then didn't hear anything. Then I looked in my junk mail like weeks later, and there was something in my junk mail being like, "Oh, there's a thing this Wednesday or something." And I was like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah.
Like I replied and I was like, oh yeah, definitely. Like they wanted to do a Zoom meeting. So I was like, okay, I'll definitely do a Zoom meeting, no problem. So we did a big Zoom meeting and I actually was on that Zoom with some of the ladies who I actually ended up doing it with, which was nice, and kind of just got chatting and stuff. And then it was really lovely and everything. And we kind of didn't hear anything for a little bit. And then they were like, oh, we'd like to invite you to come to London to film.
So on that Zoom, were they just asking you questions about the podcast and what everybody's hobbies were?
Yeah, basically. And I think maybe just to see if you could talk to each other nicely and see what the group dynamic was like as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just asking you questions about what you did and where you were from and that kind of
Well,
stuff.
you also do have a background in television, don't you?
Yes, of all of us, yes.
We won't name. We don't. I mean, Alex has been on quiz shows.
We can
Meryl
name them now
Streep.
because my whole name and everything's out now. Everyone knows my
Oh
face and
yeah, of
everything from
course.
this.
I was like,
You're
Like literally, you're going to be watching me on this documentary talk about everything. You see who I am now. My face is out there.
Whoa.
is a pointless champion.
Yeah, I did Pointless, and also I did Celebrity Squares, and then when I was heavy pregnant, I did another one as well. What was that?
Yeah.
Alphabetical.
What does it feel like to be
Did you do
famous,
one?
Al?
You did one that was like what do they call it? A pilot thing, didn't
Oh
you?
yeah, me and my husband won that, but it didn't go. It was the hit
No,
list, but it was called something else, like the pop list or something.
Oh, but
and
it was music based, which we knew you were
yeah.
going to absolutely
well, we
blow
won,
it out of the water.
but because
Yeah.
they changed it from the pilot, we didn't win. We won 10,000, but because it was never shown, we only won 1,000.
Oh, you only win the money if it goes. Oh, that seems rude, honestly.
I know. But anyway, that's by the by. So anyway, we did this. It sounds like I'm a fame whore. I'm not. I'm not at all. Like I just wanted the money from the game show. So
Or are
I'm
you
just a money
though?
whore. But for this, I just thought it's such a good opportunity to get this podcast that we will love. And like the thing is with this podcast, it wasn't like I ever started out to be like, oh, this is going to be a money making scheme, and it's not. Can I just tell you that for nothing?
Well, by the
already?
way, mission accomplished on that one because
But what I wanted was that for people who watch it to have something to listen to afterwards, and I thought that's a
Yeah.
really that would have been lovely, and I think we've mission accomplished that, guys. I think we actually have got it. We've got such a
And
lovely
can I-
community, which I never expected.
Yes, I love our community. And actually, I just have something to say really quickly about that money making part of it. I don't know how it is in the UK. I have to think it's the same, but just I don't want to speak out of turn because I don't know. But in the US, so much media has now turned into newsletters you have to subscribe to, podcasts you have to, like Patreons and different things, like all these paywalls. And I get it. I understand it. But the fact of the matter is that like, and I understand that people have to make money and that, there's a lot, it's very complicated and there's a lot to it and there's a lot of reasons why. And I'm not begrudging anybody trying to get the income. I really am not genuinely. But yes, but we have a few advertisements that play during our podcast, and otherwise, everything that we do is completely our own time that we do for free. And Allie, you do most of the work. Obviously, this whole episode will highlight the fact that you do most of the work. But the thing is that like it's very important, at least I think it's important or nice or a privilege, a luxury, whatever, that everything that we give is there's nothing anybody can't see without just clicking on it, right? Like there's nothing,
Yeah.
we never ask
It's
for any
all
money.
free. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the rate we're going, I ain't gonna change. So, I mean, check us down the line or whatever when we're trying to, when we do something different. But I don't think that's happening. And I just want to say, like,
It's a labor of love. It is a labor of love.
yeah, I'm glad that we exist in that world. And I know that, that's for many, many reasons. And we're not trying to make this our job. And we all have other, things we do. But anyways, just to say, like, in a world where there's just so much that is like walled off or whatever. And I mean, anyway, I think I've lost my point, but just to say, I'm really glad that we just give it and do it out of the kindness of our hearts and that we are able to do that.
So why is Oxford University interested in people who have got a hobby from Call the Midwife?
So Alice, big shout out to Alice. She was so lovely, by the way, guys. So lovely. So she's at Oxford University.
Alice is from Oxford.
Yes, she's from Oxford University and she is doing a PhD and basically looking at the way people consume different kinds of things. So basically, it was to do with the BBC History. So BBC History have done this big thing on Call the Midwife because it was like 100 years since the Call the Midwife first, the original thing was started. It was BBC, 100 years or something since BBC had started. And then they were doing like all the different shows they'd done. And then it was like 60 years since Call the Midwife or something. It was like an anniversary. So they did this big thing about, and Dr. Turner's case
Oh my
files.
God, it is 60 years, isn't it?
Yeah. So they were doing this big thing. And so they did this other documentary that they did about Call the Midwife. And the response they got back was massive, right? And Alice looks into the way things are consumed by fans and stuff and like the way people interpret like their favorite shows and that kind of thing. So we were working with BBC History and Oxford University who've been working together on some projects like this as well. So they've done different TV shows and things. So this whole project was all about how people consume Call the Midwife, but how they turn that into like activities in their daily lives afterwards. So like there was us with the podcast. So me representing us with the podcast. There was Sarah, who I've shared on our stuff before. She's amazing. Her stitch history. She does the cross stitch patterns, which are amazing. Which we actually I had literally had a listener yesterday send me a picture of the cross stitch that she saw on our website, bought from Sarah or Etsy, and then is put on her story. It's really, really good.
Can I ask another question?
Oh yeah.
Is this of particular interest because Call the Midwife is a British historical story?
It's like social history, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's BBC History doing it too. So so it's like both of those that are interested in that, basically.
So it's because it's BBC show, but also because it's British history show. Okay. Yeah. Right on.
And Oxford University are also looking into it. So you've got the academic side of it as well, like seeing about kind of the case study in that point as well. Like it's part of like an actual study. So then there was Sue, who was a midwife. You'll see all these. I don't want to go into too much detail about every single individual. They were all lovely, by the way. It was just a lovely, gorgeous group of women. It was amazing.
And you're still talking about the Zoom call?
No. Oh, sorry. No, I'm talking about the actual thing. So I should talk about that, really, shouldn't I? So I got invited to London.
Okay.
And so we go to London. It's all very exciting. And it was to BBC TV studios. No, it was the BBC radio studios, I think. Anyway, BBC Broadcasting House it was. And it was really, really posh and really, really exciting. And I saw Graham Norton in the foyer.
Did you see who, Bex?
Rylan.
I did see Rylan.
Where did you see Rylan?
I saw Rylan in his Radio 2 show recording karaoke.
Oh, I thought you
who's Rylan?
To speak to him. He's famous. Did he audition for X Factor.
He got through the audition.
He did get through, but you know how on X Factor, or what do they call it in America?
Oh, American Idol?
American Idol.
I think they have X Factor as well in America.
Well, he was on that.
Anyway, it might be that, yeah.
They have people who, like, I don't want to say the joke acts, but people who don't have a natural singing talent. I would be one of those people.
He was all right. He was better than you, no offense.
Well, yeah, but they weren't putting through Leona Lewis. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he went on X Factor, and then because he's so lush, he just stayed in for ages, didn't he? Did he stay in for ages?
Yeah, he was in Nicole Scherzinger's house and everything.
Yeah, and then off the back of that, he went into Big Brother.
Yeah.
Celebrity Big Brother?
He was Celebrity Big Brother, yeah.
And then he got a presenting job doing Big Brother's Little Brother, which is like a spin-off show of the main Big Brother.
And he was amazing.
And I just love him as a human being.
Yeah, but I have also met him before because I did Celebrity Squares and he was one of the celebrities and he was so gorgeous, so lovely, so kind. Everyone loved him. He was so nice to everyone. He was
He's
just gorgeous.
so funny. My dream situation would be for him to do a Strictly Come Dancing.
Oh, that would be good. Anyway, I saw him. Yeah, that was exciting.
Anyway, yeah, we digress.
So went down to London. So we all then met for real for the first time ever. So in the group, I'll just do quick shout outs to each of them, just really quick because I don't want to talk about their stories too much. You will see them if you watch the documentary. It's on the BBC History, or it should be by the time this podcast comes out. So there was Sarah, who I've spoken about, Sue, who was a midwife, and she made these amazing little woolly midwives and stuff. It was really, really cool. She also had I don't know what you call it, like a model of a pregnant belly in a bag, and like the hip got stuck. It was just really funny. She was so great. And then there's Chloe, who was like a massive super fan. She had signed scripts and stuff. It was so exciting. Alison, we know Alison from online because she knows all about the history of it all.
Which is what we should.
Oh, Alison has been the one that asked like really
Yes.
amazing questions in our listener special, right?
Yeah, but she literally knows all the history of it, she's done so much research. It was amazing. And Tammy, who's been to she loves the show, but she's been to the actual where they film it so many times and stuff. She's like an expert on that. So it's just really, really interesting to meet these amazing women and just to find out what it all meant to us. So we did like this big panel thing in this amazing like room in the BBC thing. So it was like this historic room as well. And we were all, I felt a bit like a loose woman. What's the loose woman? Is it The View in America?
The View in America, yeah. That's the closest, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So basically they had us all sat in this, like there was 6 of us in a row and we had to kind of talk about what it meant to us. And then we were all interacting and stuff. And it was just really lovely having a lovely chat to them all.
What did you say about what it meant? What did they say, if you can remember, like little?
Well, you'll have to watch the documentary, but really they were just basically saying how they all love it all. But also I was the only one who didn't watch it from the start. They all watched the first episode.
Oh, what, from the point it was broadcast?
Yeah, whereas I didn't.
Did they
ask? Oh, like you came into it later. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they ask you, was she interested in like your reasons for getting into it once you explained that?
Yes. Yeah, that spoke about that, and we just spoke about kind of just loads of stuff about it, like who do you watch it with? Do you watch it on your own? Which is your favorite character? Which is like, and look,
did you say that your daughter always walks in?
I think I did say that at one point, yeah. But also it was quite good for us from being in the podcast because obviously we've asked ourselves these questions quite a lot, so I was quite prepared for some of them. Because it is actually quite hard when you think about it, and also what it means to you. Because I was like, a lot of the times, like women helping women was a big thing for me, and that kind of stuff. So it was really, it was very nerve-wracking, and I don't know what they've put in, what they haven't, because we had to repeat stuff, and it was really exciting, but also quite nerve-wracking.
Daunting.
Yeah, like I am confident and stuff, but at the same time, you don't think about the fact that other people are going to be watching it at the end. Do you know what I mean? And also, up until this point, we've been quite anonymous. We've never put our faces up and stuff.
Yeah,
I did that one little video where there was me meeting Stephen McGann, but I had to, which Becky filmed it because she wouldn't be on it. So yeah, so it was brilliant. And then they do like a bit where they spoke, and we had like a tour around the BBC studios, which was amazing. But also they had like a one-on-one bit, so there's just me talking.
What were they asking you there?
The same kind of thing, really. It was quite a lot of the same stuff, like, you know, telling us about the podcast and stuff. I spoke about you two, how you two lazy and I do everything. And
sounds about right. Yep. What did I just say like 5 minutes ago? Yep.
Yeah, but just basically saying the whole concept behind the podcast and that kind of stuff, why we do it, where the idea came from, like the fact that I really wanted to have 3 best friends speaking because I think the dynamic's good and that helps you kind of we know each other well, like it's, you know.
Well, and look, if anyone ever isn't sure about it, I mean, we challenge each other really hard on the episodes, you know what I mean? Like we just recorded one where we were really getting into the thick of it, and I love that because honestly, you guys in my life, not to be sentimental or whatever, but like the women that I know in my life, of you two are very prominent people, have been some of my most valuable teachers. You know, and like I learned so much from people who have had different life experiences and who've like shown me a different side of the world, and just also like, you know, have stuck with me, and I've stick with you guys, and I feel like a lot of honesty and like love comes from that, and like that's where I feel like we push each other and we show up for each other in like a really beautiful way.
I do genuinely think as well the fact that we have an American point of view compared, not that that's you're just a typical American, but you know what I mean, like but, but you know what I mean, like we do have the British point of view, we have the American point of view. You can ask about stuff, we can ask about stuff. Like I just think it's good that we kind of have both those perspectives as well in this podcast.
Yeah, because I will say, going into this podcast, I had no idea how global our listenership was going to be.
Yeah, well, it's more Americans than any other country.
That boggles my
Is
mind.
that really true?
Yeah, more
Oh, I
Americans
didn't
listen to this.
realize that. I did not
Yeah,
realize, or if I did, I didn't remember that. Oh my gosh.
they're just here for
Now,
our witty British banter.
So you did the one-on-one interviews, and did you feel did you get a sense of like what they're trying to find out? Like I mean, is it like the experiences of women? Is it like is there like a historical?
Well, what Alice is trying to find out from in her university research is basically about how people kind of take something and how they take it into their own lives,
Okay.
and kind of
Okay.
how they consume it in that respect, but how they then, use it in their own lives to do something else. So we've taken this TV show, and it's not just left at the TV show that we've watched. We then digest it, we talk about it, we take notes, we
Mm,
talk to each other about it, then we share it online. It's in this online community that we share
right.
with lots of other women online, and it's like how
Mm-hmm.
that kind of is all kind of used by us. And then you've got like another one who, she like loves it so much she does patterns on it, and she has them online, and they, that kind of thing, like
so you're
Mm-hmm.
how
creating
people,
Mm-hmm.
something from it.
yeah, basically.
Has
Yeah.
she done it on, as a part of her research, been on any other, is it just BBC History?
She's obviously a student there, or I think she's a PhD student, Alice, but she does other things as well. But she has worked with BBC History before, so I presume they just want to collaborate with her because she's so great. They've just invited her
Uh,
back for this, basically.
Did you get the sense that Call the Midwife is either in like a world of its own, or if it's entered into a canon of other like BBC shows, or like very strongly like British identified shows that have like a specific connection with people? Like if there
I
was
think
anything
I've
about
got the
that?
sense that this is quite a different show insofar as it really has struck a chord with a lot of people, because so many people kind of can identify with it, and mostly women. Because obviously
Mm,
most of they've got a mum, they've got a sister, they've got a daughter, they've got, do you know what I mean? They've given
yeah.
birth, do you know what I mean? Or know someone who has, or they've got these children. Like it's, I just think it's so, there's so, and also the issues they deal with is not just birth. When you think about it, you think, oh, call the midwife. Actually, it's just so, it hits you on
It's
every level, doesn't
life.
it? Yeah,
Every part of
exactly.
life. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think
Did
that's
they
what I
say
think that we all agreed that.
Yeah, did they say anything about kind of male viewership, like anything like that? Because I feel like I wish more men would watch this show, or I wish more men would be into this show, or maybe they are and they just aren't as vocal about it.
Well, we did talk about it a little bit. Like some of the people did watch it with their husbands and stuff, but most people were didn't, if I'm honest. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it is a predominantly female enjoyed show.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that it was only females on the on the panel.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know because I think there were supposed to be some others or whatever, or some other people were, but I don't think any of those names were men either. So
Yeah. Well, and shout out to the few male listeners that have reached out to us to ask questions and things, but they're very few and far between. I mean, I wish we had a
thing is
more
though, they're the ones
diverse.
missing out. Do you know what I mean?
I know. Well, I think men would understand so much about women if they watch the show more. You know what I mean? And I like
100%.
because I think about this a lot. Like we say this stuff all the time on the podcast, and I wonder if men would listen to the podcast and be like, "Oh, you know." But I just feel like, there's so much out there about men and the way that they talk to each other and the way that they relate and the way they live their lives. And I don't know that it's really all accurate, but I think kind of the male psyche and the male experience has been explored so much in media and in TV and, every form. And this is such a show, again, about everybody. It's not just about women, but I think it deals with women's relationships and issues and experiences and, history and all of that kind of stuff in such a deep way that I feel like if I mean, I would love men of our generation to watch this
Mm.
and be like, oh, okay, like I just think it would be illuminating.
Well, it's
And
funny you
then,
say that. My cousin actually watched it over Christmas. He'd never really seen it before ever. And he
yeah.
watched it with my auntie, and he was like, God, it was dead good. And I'm like, yeah, I've done a podcast on it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, like, how many, and I mean, this is not specifically to this experience, but how many men have we seen where, their wife has a baby and, they're like, oh my God, wow, like, I can't believe she did that. Like, she's so strong, she's so brave, she's does this. And then they start crying because they're like so in love with their baby. And it's like this really, emotional experience. And they all of a sudden have this like different, view of their partner because like of what she did to like make it happen. And like, da
I
da
think
da.
that's
And
quite
it's,
an American phenomenon because I've never heard any men talk like that.
Okay, fair enough. But maybe that is, I don't know. But I feel like it's one of the times where I've heard men express themselves in ways that again, and this is very this is very subjective, so I could be completely off base. But I feel like that's something that like women do a lot. You know what I mean? And I just, but I think it's a window into a world and an experience that women kind of exclusively have that I think when once men get a glimpse into it, they're like, oh my gosh. And I just think Call of Midwife is showing that all the time. Like Grace Calthorpe, okay? Think about how much she was doing in that episode. She was the middle-aged lady who was taking care of her senior mom, her
the invisible
husband,
one.
her daughter, you know, just like literally holding up the whole ecosystem around her. And if she wasn't there, everybody would have just fell to pieces. And I think there's so many, I mean, men do this too, but there's just so many women, and I think it is a bigger group of women that are doing stuff like that. And that's not to say that, anyway, whatever. That's middle-aged women, I think, in a lot of ways. But anyways, I just like the fact that it's a window into that experience. It doesn't always get that viewpoint.
Well, do you think it just go over their heads though?
I hope not. Well, listen, I mean, if you're into it enough to watch the whole show, then hopefully you would get it, right? You know?
Well, maybe loads of people will see this documentary and be like, do you know what? Those 6 women there who basically are looking like loose women talking along this big panel. They're speaking a lot of sense, man.
Where is it aired, Alex?
It's on the BBC History site. I'm going to be finding out where it is. So at the moment, I'm hoping I'm going to put this episode out once it's out. And I'm also really nervous because obviously no one's actually seen me. I'm not looking my best because bearing in mind, I've not moved for like a year and a half properly because I did my netball injury on my knee and stuff. I'm not very fit at the moment, so I'm just not feeling great about myself. So it was all very, very daunting. And also I was just thinking all this time, like, oh my goodness,
you were so brave.
Like, people are gonna like know who I am now and all this. So please don't stalk me. And but also just, you know, it was a really, really enjoyable, lovely thing to do. And they were so
imagine
lovely
if they do
and it was
imagine if they do a follow-up part of the research and your stalker goes on. And what's come of it is she's created. Doesn't know. I don't know.
Which stalker?
I was like, where are you going?
Just made up.
You just said, please don't stalk me.
Yeah, I know, but why is my stalker a woman, not a man?
Well, I don't know.
Single white female.
I thought you genuinely had one in mind. I thought, is it you, Becky?
No.
Well, I will say I really appreciate you doing this because I mean Bex and I know I've said this to you already, but like, you know, I couldn't obviously because I'm in the United States, so it just would have been impossible. But I mean, I think even if I was in the UK, this would have been, you know, like daunting, like you said,
well, there
to go
might be
and
a
do
little
it.
clip of you two on it because we did record a Zoom, if you remember.
I
do.
Do you remember I do. Yes,
Can we do a little behind the scenes of this, guys? Because it was the most annoying thing in the history of the world.
Sure, go ahead.
I was not this ridiculous about going into the BBC. Bearing in mind, no one did my makeup for me, so I looked like absolute hell probably. But like, no one did anything for me or anything. And you two on this tiny little screen were being recorded on my phone for less than 10 seconds. And you both insisted on going and putting makeup. I was so fuming. I was like, come on.
I was literally straightening bits of my hair, and it's just getting the angles right. I don't look good.
It's going to be like not even a splodge, probably.
Well,
I'll just be a white and brown dot. That's all.
Literally, we turned back on, and Jen had her hair down, ridiculous amounts of hair and like makeup on. It was just absolutely ridiculous. And then Becky was like, "Well, hang on, I can't do it like this." So then she went and straightened, and I'm just sat there in my pajamas, looking like hell.
Well, and I was just like, and then you made me put my hair up, Bex, didn't you?
Yeah, but you look only because I think you look cute with your hair up.
Well, thank you. I look like death warmed over right now. My hair's up right now.
Well, it's all right, guys, because it's not your bloody face on this website, is it?
Well, anyways, but just to say, so
I do hope it brings us some extra listeners. And I'm not talking monetary value. As we said, it brings naff all in. It's literally, because I do think it's such a lovely community we have built, even though Facebook went mental on us and got rid of some.
Oh, don't even get me started on freaking Facebook.
I did talk about that as well. They probably got rid of it. I don't know. But so I did talk about that as well, basically being like, Facebook were acting like we were trying to pretend we were called the Midwife. We would never, ever do that. We have always been an unofficial family podcast.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what else I really do hope we get out of this? I really hope someone from Call the Midwife actually contacts us and we can actually get some interviews with some people off it. That would be the goal.
Oh, the dream.
That would be my favourite thing. Like, even I really want to speak to like the costume people, a writer. I want to speak to obviously the actors as well, but like writers, Heidi Thomas, obviously. Yeah, I know you're listening.
The people that do the set.
Yeah, set design.
I want to speak to the costumers, obviously.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome.
But again, we spoke for ages because it was this whole massive long process. So I don't actually know how much is going to be in there. They might just have like 2 minutes of me. Like, have you ever seen Gavin and Stacey, where the dad found a dead body? And he was like speaking to the
Yes.
news interview for ages, and then literally all this show is like, you just don't expect to find a dead body when you go to work in the morning. Like, I just don't
And
want to
everyone's
end up
like, is
looking like
that
that. Yeah, I just don't want to look really thick and like I just don't know what I'm talking about and I'm really stupid. So,
No, they won't. They won't. They're gonna give everybody a very, very flattering and sympathetic edit. I mean, that's
you
what they
don't know.
want. They want people to sound and look and be and all of that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, they're gonna be very
It
nice.
was a really, really fun experience, and I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
But it
there
was
was a
also
point?
really, I'm still really nervous about. I'm just really nervous about the whole thing. I don't know
I
why I'm
think
so nervous about it.
until it comes out, like you're going to be nervous watching it, and also it's not like you get to watch it before it goes out.
No,
Like you're just going to
so
be watching it with every. Maybe we should all watch it together live.
oh no, thank you. That's literally the worst thing I can think of. You two can
Um,
watch
there,
it. I'll be hiding under the sofa.
there was a point, I'll just tell our listeners this, that Alex wasn't sure if she could make it. And then Alex was worried that she was going to let us down if she couldn't go. I went into a meltdown because obviously I'm the only other person that's based in the UK. So I was like,
It's
I
all to
want
me
you all
if
to
she
go.
can't do it. Yeah.
So it all became, but yeah, it all worked out.
Yeah, but it was just yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm really really glad I did it. I'm I can't I'm repeating it to myself. I just feel very nervous about it coming out, and I think that's
I
I think
think
that's
that's only
normal.
natural. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Do
natural.
you think, I mean, since we covered that you're already basically a TV regular at this point, like, did you feel nervous before those game shows came out?
well, this is another thing actually. So I didn't feel nervous. I was excited for Pointless to come out, right? Because that was my first one I
Mm-hmm.
did with my mum, and
Yeah.
I did Pointless, and like it came out and it was on telly, and I never hated anything more than watching myself on that.
I can believe that. I mean, even the most famous movie stars say that they can't watch their own movies.
Right. Well, that does make me feel a little bit better. But then literally I did the next one, the Celebrity Squares, and I only did it because they invited me and it was amazing because I won money and stuff, but I've never watched that. I've never watched it. I'm never going to. And
Okay.
it's just I do not enjoy it. I don't go on social media when any of those things are on. Like it was just awful. And then they rang me up about Alphabetical to see if I wanted to do that. And I was like, oh, I'll do it because no one ever watches that. And I didn't even tell anyone it was going on. And like I
Well,
didn't no
you
no
don't
one
have to
messaged me.
watch this if you don't want to.
No, I do want to watch it because I want to see how it went out. And also, I'll be the one on our social media telling everyone about it, won't I?
Yeah, she will be.
Oh,
If she doesn't
yeah.
post about it, no one's we're
But
not
the
even.
thing is, like, we can watch it and then tell you how it went so that you don't have to see it.
Yeah, but imagine if we're like, oh, it wasn't great.
We'll just scrap this episode and never speak of it again.
Bex, we're not gonna say that.
We'll be like Sister Julienne. We'll post on social media for this for a week and then we'll never talk of it again.
See, I'm
have to
very
be like
good
that.
at I would just be like, it's amazing, it's amazing. I'll find all the silver linings. I'm very into that, yeah.
I mean, I didn't say anything like, I'm really controversial. Like, I was going to do a joke then. I
Well,
didn't say anything really horrible that I know
I'll
of.
say this. I mean, I don't have it's not my experience, but I mean, like the game shows, right? Like you're there to just do your best, but like it's a game, right? It's not really you. I mean,
Yeah, and you're not really expressing an opinion. Like this is your
this
chatting.
is
So I
this
can
is more
understand.
personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can see how this would be a different feeling because you're putting yourself out there in like a genuine way as a
Yeah, and
real
it's something
person.
and it also is something I really care about. I love this podcast. I really genuinely love
Yeah.
doing it. And it genuinely, I do want people. It's not that I want. This is the thing. It's like this weird thing where you're putting yourself out there because we are, but at the same
Hmm.
time, we're not doing it because we want to be out there. That's the weird thing about it.
Yeah.
We're
No,
doing it
the
because we want to
contrary.
talk about Call the Midwife. Yeah, but like, so
Hmm.
I'm putting this out there, and literally, one of the main things that has been so rewarding about this podcast, and I think I can't remember if I said this or not. I hope I did. Is people messaging me being like, "When you spoke about your birth story, it really helped me." And like that has been, I can't tell you how
Yes.
healing that has been for me. And like,
Hmm.
I just think it's such a weird way to do it, like be online and then say, oh, I don't care about being online. And it's not like I am an extrovert, yeah. Being famous or anything like that is never, ever been anything I'd want to do ever. Like that is not
Mm.
in my remit. It gives me the ick. Do you know what else is weird? I love music and all this kind of stuff, but when people sing live and they're not famous or whatever, like if I just stood up live in a pub talk, it gives me the ick so bad. And like I just think it's just like, oh, showy off me. And it's just like my point being, I'm not doing this to try and have a career as a broadcaster because it's so unprofessional as if I would. But like this is genuinely because I love the show. I want to talk to my friends about it. That's why I've got my two friends on with me, and I want to
Hmm.
have a podcast where it's quite useful for someone who has no one to talk to about the show that I love and that they love
Mm.
to be able to listen to someone talk about it and be like, yes, I thought the same, or yeah, you're totally wrong. Like, do you know what I mean? I just think it's interesting and
Yeah.
good and like a bit of a service to people. So that's kind of why I
Yeah.
wanted to do it. And also with my whole birth story and stuff, like I did the fact that people have sent me, like we had that lady who had her child and had a really bad time. We've had a few people who've messaged me with similar birth stories. And I just think, oh, I'm just so glad we've done it. But I realised that I'm putting myself kind of into the public realm. And this is especially public because it's like on camera.
Yeah.
And I think that's another reason why I'm feeling a bit nervous about it. And I can get why people are like, oh God, you put yourself out there. And yeah, I have, but not because I want to be out there, because I want to actually do the pod. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, I was gonna try to say something funny, but I'm just gonna be sincere. That's just better. It's just better for me to be sincere. I have loved so many of the messages that have come through that you've shared with us, and you do such a great job of, kind of passing along the messages from people via social media. Like we'll look sometimes, but we're not as much on there as you are. And so, hearing that about people listening to us and hearing about people who have gotten something, even just the ladies who have said, you guys are with me on my daily walks. You guys are with me when I'm on my commute to and from work. Like I just find that incredibly touching, like the fact that someone would choose to want to listen to us and think of us as like these really fun, positive, sweet women in their lives
They might
that
not
are in their ears and things like that. No, I'm being serious. Be serious. But I'll say on a genuinely serious note, like one thing that I have really appreciated about this, like my mom and I are very, very close, as you both know, but she's been a fan of the show since the beginning. She's loved it since the beginning. I was more of a late adopter, and I've obviously gotten, neck deep into it, but it's actually facilitated some really interesting and heartfelt conversations between the two of us about her experience as a young woman, literally during the time that the show was taking place. I mean, she was, basically she's younger than like Jenny Worth, but she not that much younger. Maybe she's like, 10 or 15 years younger, something. Anyway, long story short, my mom went through a lot of that stuff that they talk about on the show. And I think, it's provided a gateway for some things to come out and, stories to share and everything. And I just, anyways, it's been really meaningful to me to hear about that history from somebody who went through it. And also to, because I sometimes feel like, oh, like God, the world today or whatever, but just her generation and the generations before her fought for so much. And, I just feel honored to be able to be kind of able to, learn that history and get it from a firsthand perspective.
Yeah. And we were talking
I'm,
about
well, I'm proud of you for doing this, Alex.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
And
You're a great representative.
as always, we're thankful for all you do for us.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why I'm thankful that you two agreed to do this with me, because that was a hard sell. And
I only agreed because I didn't think we'd actually do it.
thing is, we have, and now we are on a BBC documentary, which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it's online, so
Do you know what will be interesting is, do you think she'll give her view on what we're doing?
I don't know. They'll be like, "This is awful, guys."
She'll be like, "You will not believe what these women are doing."
They spend so much time on this, and it's really weird. No. I will say, like, I'm curious to see if they're gonna get anybody from the show to talk about this. Like, if they're gonna like get, because with the new season of Call the Midwife coming out, like I've been seeing clips on. Oh, and I did watch the Christmas special. Our listeners should know. Well, they'll have known this by the time they hear this. But anyways, they always do like, the upcoming season of Call the Midwife, and then it's Trixie, like, but Helen George like literally sitting there saying, "Well, it's 1970 now, and I'm really excited to see what's in store." Like they're talking as real people, and so I just wonder if they're gonna have any of the actors from the show, or even Heidi Thomas, like pitch in for this and just say,
It would
like,
be
I can't
amazing.
believe.
And genuinely, it would be amazing for them to kind of reach out. I'd love it if one of them or a few of them reached out and were like, "Yeah, we'll
Oh my
absolutely be on
gosh.
your podcast." And we'd be
Can you
like, "Oh my God,
imagine?
we've got to wear makeup," and you two would do that whole thing again where you just be ridiculously vain over a Zoom call.
I would be ridiculously vain. I'm not even gonna hide it. You know who I really want to meet in real life is Fred.
Yeah, I would just
I
Fred.
just want to give Fred a hug. I just want to hug
I
Cliff
did hope at
Tracy.
the end of it, they'd be like, "Surprise, it's Heidi Thomas."
I thought they might have brought somebody out.
Yeah, I
No.
wondered if they were gonna do that too.
No, sadly, it was the best thing. I'm not complaining. It was amazing, but yeah.
Well, it probably would have derailed everything else, right? Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
guys all would have just
We would all
fangirled like
fainted and and then
crazy.
she'd have to
Yeah.
get restraining orders. It'd just be awkward. So
Did they give you lunch?
yeah, it was lovely.
Was it nice? What
What'd
did
you
Yeah.
have?
Well, I had to have. I obviously I'm allergic to eggs, so I had like a sandwich that was without egg, and there was salad there, crisps, orange juice, that kind of thing. It was lovely.
Nice. Was there anything about the like BBC building or like being in there with all that stuff that you were like, oh, I didn't, like that just made an impression on you?
Well, it was more the fact that we were in like the radio studios and stuff. So we went in through the live lounge. It was just very exciting. And I was in the where they actually record Desert Island Discs and stuff like that. It was just really exciting.
Oh my God. Was Graham Norton in a really, really intense suit and shirt
No,
combo?
no, it was in the morning and he was about to record his show, so his radio show,
Oh.
because it was where the
Oh.
radio stuff is.
Oh, I didn't even realize they had a radio show. Okay, well, I'm behind the times, you guys.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right, well, that's exciting. We're gonna all have to go back and watch the documentary now that we've listened to this and know all the behind the scenes.
Yeah, so there you go, guys. Let's you can see my face. Scary. You two already
Your
have,
beautiful, beautiful face.
just my face. Anyway, right. I'll let you go there, guys.
Yeah. And then we're
Okay.
back to our usual
Regularly scheduled programming next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.